Plurality through integration. Plurality and integration appear to be contradicting ideas. As immigrants, we all come from diverse backgrounds and represent plurality. Many of us fear that integration will remove our cultural identities and wash away this plurality. However, contrary to common idea, integration, in fact, produces unique cultures. How does this happen? Let's take a close look at the heritage of Muslim Chinese. Well, why does China matter? Because the Prophet said, seek knowledge even in China. Some sources record that individual Muslims had arrived in China during the Tang Dynasty as early as year 650. That was during the time of Khalifa Uthman. For the next 600 years, Muslims continuously came to China, but in small numbers, mostly for trading purposes. It was only during the Mongol Yuan dynasty that large numbers of Muslims settled in China together with the Mongol rulers. By the time of Ming dynasty, sort of in the 1400s, Muslims of diverse ancestry had largely intermarried and integrated with the Han Chinese and formed a unique group of Muslim people in China called the Hui people. This is a montage of several famous Hui figures in modern era. As you can tell, Hui people, besides being Muslims, they are ethnically and linguistically indistinguishable from ordinary Han Chinese. And historically, Hui Muslims, in fact, adopt Chinese last names at a very early stage. For example, names like Muhammad, Mahmud, or Mustafa, they all become Ma. And likewise, Ali, Amin, or Abdullah became I. But don't take it as wrong. Sometimes a name can be very productive. Four last names, Na, Su, La, Ding, were derived commonly from one single name, Nasruddin. Now, besides taking on Chinese last names, Hui Muslim artists also build mosques in the style of Chinese temples like this. Except this one is not a mosque. I lied to you, but this one is. See? You see the difference? You can't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference simply from the appearance. And that's the level of integration we have. And also, this wooden structure, this wooden tower, is the minaret of the same mosque. While decorating the mosques, Hui artists developed a beautiful script, an elegant script in Arabic calligraphy, inspired by Chinese calligraphic aesthetics. And if you can read, it reads here, Bismillahi ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's very abstract. And this work by Master Haji Nuruddin Mi Guangjiang, who is a personal friend of mine, shows the influence of Confucianism. It reads in Arabic, Rasulullahi, right? Rasulullahi, but it is also a Chinese character, Sheng, which means sage, a term that ordinary Han Chinese would use it to refer to Confucius, while the Muslim Chinese will use it to refer to the Prophet. Speaking of names, the Hui scholars also gave the religion of Islam a Chinese name called Qingzhen, which literally means pure and authentic. In addition, there are philosophical books written by Hui scholars in classical Chinese to explain Islam in a Confucianism terms to the wider intellectual and the scholarly audience in China. And collectively, these works were known by a name that integrates two languages, the Han Kitab. It's an interesting name, the Han Kitab. Of course, integration is a bidirectional process. Not only did the Hui Muslims fuse Islamic concepts with Chinese flavors, but also they blended Chinese arts with Islamic elements. Take a look at this beautiful porcelain plate. It has this traditional Chinese lotus motif circled around an Arabic inscription, ni'mat, blessing. Isn't it a blessing to have the good of both worlds, Islamic and the Chinese, integrated yet distinctive? Paper cutting is a form of folk art, and the butterfly is a symbol of love in China. Master Hu Baoguo, he inscribed Bismillahi ar-Rahman ar-Rahim using a pair of scissors in the wings of a butterfly to convey his love of God, his love for God. Martial arts, Chinese martial arts, are widely practiced by Hui Muslims as a means to preserve traditional values and morality. Many movements and postures in Hui martial arts were inspired by religious rituals and symbols. This particular posture is an wudu pot, which is a symbol of Islam in China. It's very profound because only in Islam people clean part of their bodies before attending religious services. And also, as stated on this wudu pot, it all goes back to the name of Islam in Chinese, pure and authentic. Right? Not only did Hui Muslims leave a deep cultural imprint domestically, but they also returned the favor and left a mark in the Islamic heartland. The great Hui Muslim admiral Zheng He of the Ming Dynasty, he had the largest fleet known to the world until the Industrial Revolution. He made 7 far-reaching ocean voyages in the early part of the 1400s, 70 years earlier than Da Gama and Columbus. What is more, literary research had identified that he was, in fact, the prototype of Sinbad the Sailor in the Arabian Nights. Zheng He's official title was Sanbao. Listen, Sanbao, Sinbad, right? And also the tales of Sinbad were added into the Arabian Nights at a much later time in the 1600s, 200 years after the book, and roughly about 200 years after Zheng He. Right? Also, just like Zheng He, Sinbad always appeared with his boat, and he made 7 voyages. So in reality, your childhood hero was really a Chinese person. Right? You may want to ask, what's the population of this group of people who cultivated such an amazing culture? Hui people form only 0.9% of the Chinese population currently, and this is the distribution. Even though it is a small percentage, Hui people function like a rope that binds the majority Han Chinese with other ethnic minorities. Take a look at the stripe. Look at the stripe in the middle of China. Hui people live on the crossroads between Han Chinese on the east and the Tibetan on the southwest. Noodles have been a Han food for over 2,000 years, but it didn't gain too much popularity among the Tibetan population, whereas yak meat was a Tibetan favorite, but it was not popular among the Han Chinese. It were the Muslims who combined the yak meat and the Han noodle together and made it into a beef noodles. And if you have ever been to China, you know this thing is popular. It is just like McDonald's here. A bowl of beef noodle is in fact a living testimony of ethnical harmony in China through Hui Muslims. It is also a living testimony of plurality through integration. So in a very short time, I crunched various snapshots of the heritage of Muslim Chinese to illustrate how plurality of vibrant yet unique culture was in fact the result of integration. As Muslim Americans, don't we desire to foster an equally amazing culture. The road is ahead of us. The choice is ours. I believe integration is a good thing, so embrace it. Thank you.